Hey everyone, thanks for the introduction, Al. And yeah, it was. I mean, it's so ironic that we met at Masculinity's sort of art exhibition, and so much of kind of what I'm going to be speaking about today, is kind of well, in my poems, it's dealing with the issue of masculinity. So yeah, so I think it's a very nice sort of segue into sort of things I'm going to be talking about. And yeah, it's really good to see some familiar faces here. Hey Sam, I see Francis is in here, and Melody, hey. So yeah, thanks everyone for being here. Yeah, I'm really excited to do this. So yeah, so I'm going to do two poems, and then we'll kind of open up to some questions, and then I'll do a final poem, and then we'll kind of go back to some questions again. So obviously, because I'm doing two poems, if you think of any question, maybe try sort of write it down just to kind of, just in case you forget it. Yeah, so the first poem I'm going to do, some of you may have already heard, but I absolutely love like hearing a poem, kind of more than once, and then kind of, like there's new lines you kind of hear and you get, and kind of things just kind of like, you see it in a different way. So yeah, so this first one's called Life Roulette, which is one of my newest poems. And basically this poem is inspired by two things, which is my lifelong struggle with a severe stammer, and also the random hand life deals you, which actually turns out to not be so random because it's actually more influenced by the powers that be than we realize. So this is Life Roulette. Here we go. Could have been born without a stammer. Not spent my childhood in mute, where kids would have me cut my story short and let someone else tell it. But all those years not speaking meant I was listening, watching, peeling back. Could have been born, could have not been born. Nature's indiscriminate hand, scratching and remixing, fading solar systems into galaxies, playing the wind against trees, wild, syncopated rhythms. Beauty is in the unexpected. Cartel violence in Mexico has seen 60,000 disappear as statistics of horror from a war on drugs that doesn't fight addiction, will dress it as crime to hide the afflictions of the heart. No money, no time to dive the depths of the soul, while at surface, the game goes on and the life roulette spins, teasing joy, pain, destiny. Pick your number, then cross fingers or press hands, hold 7 4-leaved clovers on your daughter's birthday, then gamble it all for more profit, more greed, might crash, land on Wall Street, last chance, bet it all on black. One infected, 1,000 infected, hundreds of thousands, global pandemic, whoever survives should now be immune from narcissism, material greed, social injustice, bigotry, ungratefulness, petty beef. May the memory of those who died be as white blood cells to those who lived, to embrace life, the fragile gift, share love and never take it back. Could have been born during the Middle Passage. Ancient culture washed away, raised in chains, gave birth to slaves, evil cracks the whip, ripped skin off back. Could be born today and inherit a world that's lost its way, where dark skin makes you lesser than. A world slowly crawling to the nether end. I hope I learn to walk with courage, learn to speak wisdom. I hope the system doesn't incarcerate my thoughts. Let me tell it. Please don't cut my story short. Don't spin truth from lies. On this broken wheel spins the roulette of life, where human suffering is harvested. Keep spinning. I can't breathe. Please let me keep spinning. I can't breathe. Let me. Don't cut my. Don't. Thank you. That's Life Roulette. Yeah, that's the first one, and then yeah, I'll do a second poem. Yeah, poem number 2 is called Park Life Lessons. If anyone's ever heard of the festival Parklife, which is in Manchester, yeah, this poem is basically kind of about a concoction of things that should never really exist together, which is a boxing fight, a concussion, a music festival, and the male ego. So this is Park Life Lessons. Some lessons come quiet. And right now, the sound system gods frown upon me as my one blocked ear makes half this festival sound under the sea. Some lessons come like a left hook to the right ear. Keep your guard up, protect yourself at all times. I wasn't ready. As I wait, not in, but next to the queue for my friend Eddie to down some vodka. My friend Eddie only activates when sufficiently drunk. Meanwhile, modesty and moderation are up front, trying to get in without a ticket. Some lessons come cold, like trusting British summer. That old, 'twas sunny when I left the house, here comes a jab, bam, on the nose, keep your guard up, protect yourself at all times. I didn't know this was a festival for people naked and under 20, which means they're naked but not really sure why. The uncertainty of how to carry their naked bodies is only amplified when done in pouring rain. Some lessons go in one ear and out the other. As we traverse this muddy terrain, the drugs start taking effect. A boy, 19, has passed out while his mate carries his corpse out the festival. A girl, 18, has fallen in love with the ground and rolls around a muddy patch, hugging the earth and herself. Friends fail to part her from New Bay, so instead offers support and care. I wasn't ready to find such tender pieces of humanity in the most gruesome cuts of festival life, because youth is simply the luxury to try, to fail, minus the pressure of time, to have lessons pass through ears like water through hands, but some lessons stick like the bass in my right eardrum, reverberates around my skull, along with that girl and her heavy Scouse accent who screamed, "Fuck me, I've got a wedgie." My friend Eddie has finally activated, thinking I should really talk to him about his drinking process, but this might not be the best time for that. Here comes a right hook, whack, on the chin, my legs wobble, I'm stumbling around the ring like, how the fuck do you Instagram being knocked out? How do I explain this to the 92 people who liked my pre-fight post and all its self-congratulatory, pat yourself on the back, bicep flex for heavy undertones of, I'm gonna fuck this guy up. Keep your guard up, protect yourself at all times. A right cross is what finally took me down. I'm out before I even hit the ground. Head bounces off the canvas, now painted with what's left of my ego. It's funny, in boxing, the more you get hit, the less you protect yourself. I'm seeing stars. Nas is on stage performing the 25th anniversary of Illmatic. Wishing I had two good ears to appreciate this moment, but at least I'm here. Happy to just be taking part, so I ain't stressing, because I guess that's life. And these are Park Life Lessons. Thank you. Yeah, so yeah, those are like two of my kind of favorite poems to perform because they're so kind of theatrical. So yeah, I see lots of hands up. Sorry, obviously I was kind of performing, so I didn't see who put their hands up first. Al, I'm not sure if you were keeping tabs on that. Do you want to kind of pick people? If not, I guess we'll just kind of, you know, whoever's bravest go and just kind of unmute yourself and go. Let's just do it. Let's keep it fluid, you know, and just moving. So,
yeah, if anyone's got a question, let's unmute yourself and ask. And
just go, man. Just fire away. Boom, boom, boom.
I've got one to begin with. Davy, how did you get into the fighting world?
Fighting world? Well, you know, as you see, you know, I'm a poet. So, you know, like fighting is kind of something, you know, it's kind of very, yeah, it's kind of, you know, the funniest thing is I'm not even like a boxing fan. I'm not really that big a fan of boxing. Like, I like the sport, but, you know, I wouldn't ever say, you know, like, I was a huge fan of it. I think I just wanted to do it because I just wanted a challenge. You know, I'm the kind of person that just likes challenges, you know, such as trying to become a poet with a stammer, you know, it's like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, like, it's like, you know, I don't like to kind of take no for an answer, especially when I'm saying no to myself, you know, but when the answer is you have a stammer, don't do poetry, like, no, do it anyway, you know, and then, you know, or like, if you're not really into boxing or, you know, you're not really into violence, but, you know, boxing is a challenge that, you know, that you think you could kind of learn something about yourself in, then then go for it. So yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, but do it anyway. I love that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because because one of the worst things you can do is say no to yourself. Because there's been so many times, like when I've said no to myself and then I've done it anyway, and actually the results were amazing because because actually we kind of we very often kind of sort of hold ourselves back. So yeah.
I feel like a lot of the poems that you did are kind of, and the ones that you do are very performative with sound effects and things like that. So how do you go about putting them together? Like, what's the process like?
Great difficulty is how they come together. Especially like something like Life Roulette. When I was in just like like I guess one of my biggest fears is kind of sounding and doing the same thing as everybody else. So I just figured, what can I kind of include in in my sort of poems that that you're not expecting, you know what I mean, and that you've not kind of heard or seen done before. So for me, yeah, it just comes out of a need to be different and just do something, in an unusual way, because we can, like no one's my boss, like when I sit down and write a poem, I don't have like KPIs, and quotas and shit when I'm writing poetry, I'm just doing it. It's me. I can do what the fuck I want. So I'm gonna, so for me, yeah, I'm just trying to expand myself into all the corners of, poetic expression that I can. Sorry, that sounded really like artsy then. So corners of poetic expression. Ooh. But yeah, man, that's it really.
I like Richard's comment. You should rematch the boxer in a poetry slam contest.
So yeah, I know, right? I know. Yeah, definite. But yeah.
I'm curious in terms of, and if anyone's got any questions, put them in the chat or feel free to unmute yourself.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah, Melody, go on.
So for me and my work, posture, body language is super, super important. Something really stuck out to me. You said about people not knowing how to carry their naked bodies. What does that mean?
So I think that was more kind of a sort of knock on their youth. I feel like when you're young, kind of being sort of naked is kind of something you do because it's almost a trend, right? It's something you do because you've seen other people do it. But I think when you're that young, you don't know your body, you don't know yourself that well yet, And so like I said, it's more of a trend. It's more of a sort of a following kind of thing that you're doing, which is why it's so awkwardly done because you're still yet to kind of really know yourself. So yeah, that's kind of what I meant by that.
Amazing. Can I ask a follow-up question? Can I be really cheeky and take two?
So cheeky.
Come on, yeah.
Okay, so right now, I can see how many people are in the chat and I'm feeling a little bit like, oh my God, I'm speaking on camera. I'm still in my pajamas as well. For someone who's come from where you have with a stammer and who performs the way that you do, is there some kind of strategy you use? Or like, if a stammer comes up, how do you quickly kind of move past that, if at all? How does that work? Because you're so confident and comfortable.
Oh, thank you very much.
You look at it, but anyway.
I know exactly, right? But if you could see my feet, I'm like tapping like this. Oh, no, I'm joking. I'm not doing that. But how do I do it? So I guess practice is key. So obviously, yeah. So with my stammer. So obviously, so basically, just then actually was a really good example. So just then when I went with my stammer, I was stammering. Then I had a block. You see, and then I think it's just about learning to kind of be relaxed when you feel a block. Just pause, take your time, and just kind of like make yourself look like you're really intelligent because you're taking a long time to to think and say what you want to say. But yeah, so it's like what's really funny is I know exactly where and which point of the poem I'm going to stammer because certain sounds and syllables just kind of they fuck with me, you know what I mean? And I just can't, they're very sort of hard to say. So yeah, so what I do is when it gets those parts of the poem, what I do is I rehearse them really, really slowly. So so if it's a line of like could have been born without a stammer, I'll say could have been born without a stammer because what happens is my tendency when I know I'm going to stammer is I go really fast. I speak fast like this, and it's unclear. So what I do is I say it super slowly, and then I get myself more and more sort of at ease and comfortable saying it at a normal pace. But at the start, I literally am like, could have been born without a stammer. And then I tell my brain, you can say it, you can do it, but now speed it up, you know, and I kind of build it up like that. So the answer, is practice really, and knowing where you're going to, I think the key is knowing where you're going to stumble and kind of being ready for it. I think it's a pretty good sort of metaphor for like life, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thanks, Melody.
Has the poetry helped in the stammer outside of performances? For
sure, absolutely. Because again, using that same sort of technique of just slowing right down, you know, like for sure. Which is why I say, like doing spoken word has helped me so much with my stammer, because of those sort of techniques of kind of just starting really slow, telling myself I can say this word, I can do it, and then kind of building up the speed so that it's conversational. So for sure. Yeah. I don't know how we're doing time wise, but
we're all right.
If you more questions.
Yeah. If anyone's got a question, feel free to unmute yourself. I'm curious, a bit of a more difficult one, I suppose, is the poems that you performed were, involving going to a concert and going to a fight and all of these things. Where are you getting inspiration from these days when these things are not around?
Inspiration to write. I mean, there's always inspiration to sort of write stuff, I mean, yeah, so if you want a little bit, well, it's not really an overshare as much, but I actually signed up to therapy yesterday, so that was a really big kind of step for me. So, so I'm sure over the course of that journey, kind of going through, therapy and stuff, I'm sure there'll be learnings and there'll be things that I can kind of write about, there'll be things that I'll kind of tackle and uncover within myself really. So, so I think there's never a shortage of things to kind of, to sort of write about. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Anybody else? I'm not sure if there's any questions in the group.
If there's no questions, I just want to say thank you for this beautiful morning. Yeah, and allowing us to connect with something or someone, because it's really difficult in this talk. So if you were just giving a talk, so thank you to the team as well for this. If you were just talking to us, I'll probably switch off, because these days everything's on a screen and everything is so and you can tell I'm not feeling my best. I hardly just woke up on time for this to be able to join. I woke up at 8:35, but yeah, I was getting ready when I was listening to Elisa stretch. But I'm just really grateful for the way you performed and how much life you bring and you sort of allow. And I think that must be in a way maybe tiring. I don't know if it's tiring for you, but it was really nice to be able to listen and look and be really in what's the word, indulged in someone's story, and get our creative juices and imagination and feelings involved. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you very much for your very kind words. And on that question, it is tiring. The very first poem that I did, Life Roulette, that one, when I'm doing this sound, my core is so tight. It's such honestly, guys, try it at home. Just go. It's such a core sort of workout. It's
I did, yeah.
Yeah, so that's it's tough, that one. And obviously because I already have a stammer, making myself stammer mentally is really exhausting, because then it's I have to then make myself unstammer for the bits that I don't want to stammer. So it's tiring. But yeah.
Well, thank you for opening yourself like that. That's at this time.
Yeah, it's very early. Yeah.
Early in the morning.
Yeah. If there's no more questions for this one, I will do my final poem, and then I guess we can have some more questions for that. Have a little chat. So I'll give it a few seconds. Anyone else? Yeah.
I think we're ready.
Okay. Right. So this is the final poem of the day. Woohoo! So this one is called Island Men. Yeah. I think this is the newest. This is my newest poem actually. And yeah, I actually wrote this for, if anyone's heard of Utopia, you know, I've forgotten how they describe themselves, but they do amazing stuff. That's all you need to know. And yeah, so this poem is about, yeah, how, you know, I think we need to stop raising men, and men need to stop allowing themselves to become islands. Here we go. I'm from St. Martin. When you grow up on an island, your reputation doesn't have to travel far to find you. So we built ours on sandcastles with their backs to the tide. In primary school, corporal punishment was a daily occurrence. You could get beat for not doing homework, talking in class, and fighting. It never clicked that violence was forbidden between the kids, but fine when dealt by the authorities. So here's black kids being smacked by French expats on our hands and backside. We felt that familiar sting. Colonialism. Despite the pain and public humiliation, I prided myself on being the boy that never cried. Despite the hard stick on my soft flesh, I was tough inside, a reverse shell of a boy. I'd laugh at the weaklings who screamed and jumped around. They couldn't take it. I was emulating my big bro, to whom I looked up like a building built from the sky down. He was my protector, a leader who led first with fists and kicks and chokes. I watched him wrestle on concrete for me to emerge bloodied, shaken, but reputation intact. Island stamp of not to be fucked with. Island boys grow up to be island men on islands only big enough for them. And the most basic ideas of masculinity, islands without bridges or meaningful connections, drifting out to face the world alone. What kind of man becomes the boy that never cried? With each passing year, maturity came on a tide, eroding the castle of my boyhood. Knew I was vulnerable, chose not to accept it, masked it with thin layers of ego. My big brother, now cemented in his role as family fighter, is one day doing his duty when the guy he's fighting changes his life. He pulls out a knife, stabs my brother in his lung. His lung collapses, along with old illusions of toughness. The doctor said he had too much muscle and too much fat, so had to drill extra rough to pass his rib cage and insert a tube that revived his lung. Seems toughness only caused him more pain. I wish we knew a different strength. I wish I never called his name to exact violence on other island men. With hindsight, I'd say, brother, don't fight for me. Humility helps the heart to mend. I see the lie I lived, the lie men lived, this rugged individualist in artificial loneliness, the view of life through an emotionally stunted lens, trapped somewhere between boys and men, but you can find them in offices, at the bar, in your relationship, drifting, not sure why or where, just boys, island boys in a man's world of boys' clubs and island men, searching for a voice he doesn't know is his. You don't need power to be a leader, just to stand firm in what you believe in. Sometimes leading means being quiet when the soft-spoken are speaking. Challenge and change yourself. I had to shamefully remove misogyny and homophobia from my dictionary and psyche. Bunch of B words and F words that did not match the man I needed to be. After changing you, change your immediate vicinity. Spark little wildfires of change everywhere you go. Empower others to be bold. Call your friend just to have a chat. Send your guy mate a text and put a kiss at the end. Let him know you've got his back. Island boys don't have to be island men. We can stand strong as a continent of conscious people, living in openness, sensitivity, and love. So little boys don't have to grow up and face the world with a grudge. Thank you. That's Island Men.